Shalom, Yasharallah, Shalom. All praises be to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashum, Yahushai. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. And as I promised, I'm going to do a little reaction to this clip. For those of you brothers who don't know, this is Barack Hussein Obama, former president of the United States of America. And essentially, he came out and he was on a campaign trail at Kamala Harris's presidential headquarters in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And, you know, he was talking about Trump, he was talking about the election, whatever it may be. And eventually he went to the back and had this little off-script meeting with, some brothers and sisters, I'm assuming. And he was talking about a topic in which a lot of many so-called black men, we are essentially either not going to vote, including me, you know my motto, F them both 2024, or we were choosing to vote for the other party. And this dude, he was resorting to a lot of shaming tactics. And y'all brothers have to be aware of these things, because in the mainstream media, whether it be through sports media, whether it be through political media, whether it be through social media, they oftentimes have these different plants on the Democratic Party to try to get you to do what they expect you to do, because they expect our people to be 100% voting for Democrats regardless, because they feel like we're league in step with the party. They feel like we're supposed to go by their agendas, that they're the ones who brought us out of slavery, they're the ones who freed us from Jim Crow, they're the one who gave us rights, and that we have an obligation to vote for their party because they're the party that quote unquote represents us. And when it comes to conservatives, when it comes to Trump, he's the walking being of the Antichrist for the so-called black community, and that we should never ever ever vote for a Republican. Now y'all brothers understand my philosophy, and I'm assuming y'all brothers have a similar philosophy. Both of these parties do not really care about so-called black men. We're just used as their work dogs. We're used as a support to get them to fall for their political agendas that they want. We obviously understand that. But essentially, they have to resort to these tactics if they feel like we're not going the way that they want to. And I want to get this scripture real quick. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 3 and 12. It says, "As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to error, and destroy the way of thy path." And essentially, our brothers are familiar with this. This is just a signification on who the Most High's people are. First and foremost, people with a childlike mentality are the oppressors, and women rule over them. So y'all brothers understand, we have been raised up in a matriarchy. Essentially, a matriarchy is a family, societal, cultural structure in which women are seen as the prominent figures, whether it be your mother, whether it be your grandmother. We have been raised in a home or a society where when it comes to our community, essentially women were the ones who were seen as a spokesperson. And again, brothers, y'all already know and understand, when women rule over you, your community is going to be dwelling in chaos. Why do you think we have these Luciferian parties all within, whether it be the alphabets, whether it be mass whoredom, whether it be women empowerment, women liberation? And you already know, of course, our party, our group of people, we lead this country when it comes to child sacrifice, when it comes to abortion, Planned Parenthood. And then people wonder, why is the black community in such a bad position? Because for many different reasons. First and foremost, the so-called black woman is league in step with the serpent, the governmental powers, mainly led through the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party, to literally destroy our people and keep us at a docile state with the appearance that they're with us. But the other aspect of it is that they don't want you as a man to lead. Again, men are the leaders. If you go throughout the scriptures, it was predominantly men who led the people, who led the community, who led the nation. The Most High gave his messages through his son, not a daughter. You know what I'm saying? It's just pretty straightforward. You know, I don't have to keep going on this tirade. But essentially, the Democratic Party, they've set up this system where essentially you have women who try to rule over you. In every election period, you have all these different shaming tactics from these celebrities, from women saying, oh, you're a black man, you're not voting for the Democratic Party, you don't care about black people if you don't want to vote for me.
You got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Because it's just a shaming tactic. They see you as such a lowly, docile state of being that they feel that they can tell you to do and listen to whatever they want you to do. And this is no different. So let's get into this video.
I'm going to go ahead and just speak some truths, if you don't mind. because my understanding, based on reports I'm getting from campaigns and communities, is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running.
Essentially, in the so-called black community, they're getting reports that people aren't as engaged with Kamala, that people aren't as giddy that Kamala is running for presidency, because again, they feel like just because she has a skin tone similar to us, just because her father is of Jamaican descent or Jamaican heritage, that we should just automatically be like, oh, there's a black person in office, oh, I'm gonna vote for them. Common tactic. If you brothers watch the Boondocks season 1, the episode with Obama, there was a little clip where Riley said, I'm voting for Obama because he black.
For Obama because he's gonna lower my taxes.
Actually, he has promised to raise taxes at your income level.
Huh? Well, I also support Obama because he's against corporate bailouts.
That is also not true.
Huh?
I'm supporting Obama because he black.
And he's gonna get the troops out of Afghanistan, right?
Also wrong.
Then what the fuck that nigga gonna do?
I'm telling you, a lot of these politicians and people like that, they feel like you should just immediately vote for skin color, for gender, for their personality, compared to looking at their background and listening and seeing if what they say lines up with what you want and benefits you and your people. So that's what he's getting at. And you want to know the main reason why this is happening? Because the spell casting of the Democratic Party is wearing off. And I want to say a big shout out to all you brothers out there who are abiding in knowledge, who are looking things up, who aren't going with the status quo. Because when you start to wake up and when you start to gain knowledge, that is a terror. These Democratic people, even the Republicans, it is a terror to see our people start to wake up, because we're not going after the witchcraft, the spell casting. Because this brother right here, very, very charismatic brother. I'm in sales. I used to do sales. He has a natural spoken charisma, and the way that he articulates himself and the different ideologies that he mixes in with his political agendas and things like that, he can sway people very, very quickly. And the thing with Kamala, she doesn't really know how to talk. She oftentimes stumbles over her words. Her face looks disingenuous. She doesn't have the politician face. Like Trump, he got it. Now Trump, he kind of slipping because he's getting older, but Trump has it. Kamala doesn't. So they have to put in their lapdog Obama because he's very charismatic. And what he did in 2008, he ran a campaign off of hope and off of change. And a lot of our people got caught up. Oh, we're going to have a black president. Things is going to change. And we got caught for the deception because the brother didn't really do much to improve our communities. You can say he did this and he did that, but the overall state of our condition, it didn't change, because there's no savior that's going to come through the flesh by man. There's only going to be a savior from the Most High, which is going to be his son Yahweh Shai. So a lot of brothers are not falling for the mind games and the manipulation. We got social media, we got YouTube, we got internet access. We can look up a lot of the things that these people are talking about, and we're not falling for the media propaganda.
Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody.
So the brother said, when you have a choice that is this clear, from whose perspective? Is there a 100% proven fact that somebody is a better candidate, or is that your perspective? You see, a lot of these politicians, they make it seem like it's all black and all white. Like, oh, no, you either with us or you against us. It's like gang culture. Just like they have the red and blue flags when it comes to the Crips and the Blood, they have the red and the blue affiliations when it comes to the Democrats and the Republicans. And they're trying to force you into one specific political party. So if you don't vote for Democrat, it's not clear. How can you not see it? Nah, brother, you're trying to manipulate us.
Who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences. who's had to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land and is putting forward concrete proposals to directly address the things that are vital in our neighborhoods and our communities, from housing to making sure that our mothers and our fathers and our grandparents can afford medicine, and making sure that we are dealing with prices that are too high and rents that are too high, and are committed to making sure that we maintain the Affordable Care Act, so everybody's got help here, and cares about things like education and entrepreneurship in our neighborhoods.
All right, so the brother said a lot. The first thing he said is he tried to establish Kamala Harris with the background that relates to brothers like you and me. You know, so he obviously said her background. For those of y'all brothers who don't know, Kamala Harris is half Indian, half Jamaican heritage. Her mother, I don't know the specifics of her mother, but she's a full-fledged Indian, or if you brothers understand the biblical lineage, she would be called a Elamite. Now, her father is from Jamaica, and obviously I have my mom's side of the family is Jamaican. So he's from a place called, I think he said St. Anne or St. Mary's, one of those different parishes in Jamaica, if y'all brothers don't know. And they moved to America. She grew up in, I think, Berkeley or Oakland area in California. And she went to a HBCU. So she's obviously gone through the stereotypical path that many so-called Black Americans would go to. They go and they grow up in these different public educational systems, whether it be in Berkeley, whether it be in California, LA, Texas, it doesn't really matter. Then they go to HBCU, and for a lot of these politicians, once they leave the HBCU, then they get into law, then they get into political parties, things like that. Again, I'm not the most well-versed, so I'm not even going to act like I'm speaking on that. The second thing I'm not going to try to do is tell you that I know who Kamala Harris is, because I've never met her a day in my life outside of when she was running for the vice presidential campaign in 2020 and in 2024. And the last thing, I'm not going to sit here and speak on policies if I'm not devoting my entire life and my career to policies. I can go off of what they're saying on the onset, but I can't sit here and try to break down a policy because I'm not a politician. I don't lie that well. In regards to what he said she has fine policies on housing, parents who can afford Medicare, rent and price inflation, Affordable Cares Act, education, entrepreneurship. If y'all brothers have different opinions on these policies, that's perfectly fine. I'm not really doing this video to address that. But my point is, one candidate may say she cares about these policies, and somebody may think, oh, bro, Trump, his policies are a lot better, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, especially when it comes to running a business, when it comes to his policies on immigration, when it comes to his policies on national defense. So a lot of things that Obama's talking about, he's talking about housing, affordable healthcare, inflation, education, things like that. But again, we have free will to think on who we want to vote for. So if you believe that Kamala Harris is a good choice, good for you, brother. But we all understand you're a politician. You're trying to sell your candidate for your party. So not every brother has to follow after that just because you said that you agree that she's a better candidate.
And entrepreneurship in our neighborhoods. And that's on one side. And on the other side, you have someone who has consistently shown disregard, not just for the communities, but for you as a person. And you're thinking about sitting out?
All right. So he said the other person has blatantly showed a disregard for you as a person and your community. Speaking about Trump. Because again, brothers, understand this. Don't fall for the political bullshit. Trump is just political opposition. Barack Obama is like the Trojan horse. Kamala Harris is like the Trojan horse. They're what's shown to the people on the outside as something friendly, as something great. But on the inside, they have Machiavellian tactics. They have malicious tactics to essentially bring not only our community, but this country into a global system. You have to understand that. And when y'all brothers understand the word, and you read Revelation 17, when you read Revelation 18, or even Revelation 13, Salakia, you understand that the world is going into a beast system. It's going into an antichrist system. So you can't fall for what these politicians are saying. But on a lower level, obviously, they know that we're going to vote for one or the other. So essentially, the brother is like, you know, this choice is so clear with Kamala and Trump. You're thinking about sitting out? Like, he thinks it's ludicrous if you choose not to vote. Like me, I'm not voting. And I didn't vote last election, and I didn't vote the last election, Barack. And I chose not to vote because I believe it's politics, not politics. Isn't that our right as an American? Aren't you a U.S. president? Isn't it your right that you can vote, but you don't have to? So, brother, you're trying to shame brothers for not wanting to vote or wanting to vote for Trump. But if we vote for Harris, it's all good. Again, shaming tactics. Let's continue to watch. Let's run it back a little bit.
You as a person, and you're thinking about sitting out? I'm not. But, you know, Cousin Pookie might be. And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses.
So the brother said reasons and excuses. Okay, so an excuse. Let's say this is an excuse. This is the reason why I don't want to vote. All throughout my history, I've looked at different presidents, whether it be Republican or Democrat. I looked at their long-term policies, and I looked at the direction that the country is going. And it doesn't matter if there was a Republican or if there was a Democrat. There were certain things that continue to go down the drain. First and foremost, the financial debt. Second thing, opportunities and equal representation for brothers who look like myself. I'm not talking about women. I'm not a so-called black woman. They have a lot of different programs that are set up by this society that make sure they are provided for and taken care of. Y'all brothers do not have the same type of access. And if people say they do, you have the stigma of being ridiculed, of being denigrated, and of being subservient unto the woman and unto these other powers. So the struggles that a so-called black woman has in America are not the same as a so-called black man. So I don't really care if Kamala Harris is a so-called black woman because she hasn't been through the things that I've been through. So why would I align myself to what she's saying when she can't even relate? When the man in front of us, Barack Obama, and let's just be real, brothers, he's a Hamite. He's not an actual Israelite descent for the most part. We don't know for certain, but I think his father's from Uganda. So you understand Uganda is of the land of Ham. But the brother comes up like he's a so-called black American Jake because he was raised in America. He was raised in Chicago, but his lineage is not of that of Shem, more than likely. Again, we don't have full proof, but we're just going off of the lands and where he comes from. So again, brothers, they put different people in these positions because they feel like you can relate to them. And if you choose not to follow them, they look at you like you're crazy. Now let's listen to what he says.
I've got a problem with that. Because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly now, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president.
Okay, so let's unpack that. He says part of it is the feeling that you do not want to have a woman as a president. Okay, brother. So in my mind, when I look at Kamala Harris, outside of the emotional things like, oh, she's a woman, oh, she's Indian, whatever it may be, what do we have to substantiate our claims? Has Kamala ever been a politician? Has Kamala ever worked within politics? Is Kamala currently on an administration that is running the country as is? Okay, when you understand Joe Biden and you see the way the country is headed, mainly when it comes to these political instabilities, whether it be in Iran, whether it be in Ukraine, the tension with China, it's very clear that Joe Biden and Kamala do not have a good grip on those situations. All right, now let's go to domestic. When we look at the time that Kamala and Joe Biden have been in office, when it comes to inflation, the price of goods, things like that, the job economy, are there a lot of strong jobs that brothers and sisters can have long-term stability? Or are they mostly gig jobs? Are they mostly low wages? Have a lot of you brothers had bachelor's degrees and associate degrees, and you're making the same amount of money as somebody working at McDonald's? And look, I will say this. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they were not the main reasons why that happened. The main reason why things are so expensive now has to do with C-19, has to do with all the money that was printed. And that has nothing to do with Joe Biden, and it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. This was a greater arching scheme to make the standard of living, not only just in America, but across the entire world, go up through the mass printing of fiat currency, through the devaluation of the dollar. So when you understand that, if a politician is not saying we need to go back on the gold and silver standard, if a politician is not saying we need to drastically reduce government spending because we are going to bring ourselves through financial chaos, financial ruin, through a financial depression, I don't give a damn what you people are saying, because you're not stopping the root cause of why our economy is going down the drain. You're just yip-yapping, talking, and saying, hey, just vote for me, and I'm going to bring an Affordable Care Act, even though when it comes to health insurance, the vast majority of people in America aren't going to be able to afford health care. You see the bullshit that these people be pulling out? That's why you can't fall for it, because they talk out of both sides of their mouth. They put on a mask, show you a conveyance, and then once they get in the office, they do the exact same thing that they were meant to do. Help their government sponsors, help their lobbyists, and most importantly, help the elites who run society, who run these different countries with federal reserves and federal banks, and continue that agenda down to the New World Order. That's just what it is, bruh. Don't see these people for more than what they really are.
A woman is president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And I think anybody you are talking to in a barbershop, anybody you are talking to in your house, in your family, at church, who is coming with that kind of attitude, I think you have to ask them, well, how can that be? Because the women in our lives have been getting our backs this entire time.
So, okay, now when you brothers look at the strategy, he says, if you see anybody in a barbershop, if you see anybody in, family gatherings, whatever it may be, I think you should ask them, hey, brother, you could ask me. My mama can ask me. My grandma could ask me. My coworkers can ask me, because I've done research. But let's keep it 100, brothers. The vast majority of our men, they're not focused on higher understanding, politics, financial policies. They're focused on women. What are women doing? How can they get a bag? How can they get a band? How can they stun on niggas? That's what most brothers is thinking about. Most brothers are simple-minded, and majority of our women, in fact, the vast majority of our women are simple-minded. So you have to understand that they're not talking about brothers like you and me who actually keep up with the different policies and can see through the BS of Satan. He's talking about the average dude on the street who just said, I ain't voting for Kamala, she a woman. And then what he did at the end is he tried to spin it in. So because you're not voting, you don't want to support the women in your family? Listen to it. Let's run it back again.
In your house, in your family, at church, who is coming with that kind of attitude, I think you have to ask them, well, how can that be? Because the women in our lives have been getting our backs this entire time. They've been raising us and working and having our backs. And when we get in trouble and the system's not working for us, they're the ones who are out there marching and protesting.
So
now
the brother said, we don't have their backs if we choose not to vote. Because he's basically talking about a brother like me. So essentially what he's saying is that whenever we get in trouble, whenever the system, he's talking about police brutality, right? Again, one of the main mechanisms of mind control, Black Lives Matter. The police are killing us. Whenever you see a lot of rappers or athletes who are going after a movement that the government is supporting, 9 times out of 10, that's a psyop. Same thing with gun control. So again, brothers have to be able to understand. And what he says, the women who have been supporting us, who have been raising us. Well, no disrespect, Barack. And if you're a woman listening, you're probably going to be offended by this. But since the policies of the 80s and the 90s, when the so-called black man was taken out of his home and women were the predominant breadwinner within the so-called black community, have the children gotten a better education or a worse education? Have the children had more emotional stability and emotional control, or less stability and emotional control? Are the so-called black boys, do they have a greater understanding on what's happening around them, or are they looking for this masculine force, going into gang culture, and then eventually getting in the mass incarceration system where politicians who look like you, or if they don't look like you, the so-called Caucasian politicians, they had these different policies to feed the military-industrial complex with mass incarceration of so-called black men. And we all understand that Kamala Harris, she was what? She was an attorney general. So whether or not her policies directly affected men coming in, she is kind of the face of the people who have not represented us, who have not treated us fairly. And let's be real, brothers, none of these people are going to treat us fairly. None of these people are going to lead us to the promised land. That's why we have to return to the Most High. That's why we have to follow his commandments. That's why we have to believe in his son, Yahweh Shai, because only the Most High can free us from these shackles, not these politicians. Going back to Isaiah 3:12, the people which lead thee cause thee to error. And then they want to sit here and say, well, they went out for Black Lives. Okay, what has Black Lives Matter done? It's promoted transformerism, right? It's promoted the spirit of fornication and lasciviousness across our people and mass whoredom. So did Black Lives Matter do anything? Let's just be real, bruh. Trojan horse tactic. Didn't do anything.
You're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down.
Yeah, and see, that's the biggest shaming tactic. You think that not voting or voting for Trump is what being a man is and putting women down? No. See, again, bro, these are all emotional tactics, shaming tactics, manipulation tactics. If I don't want to vote for Kamala, I'm not putting women down. I'm establishing that I don't want to vote for her nor vote for Trump because neither of them are on my side. So, brothers, do not fall for the BS, bro. But we're going to keep watching it.
That's not acceptable. That's not it. This shouldn't even be a question.
This shouldn't even be a question. The brother makes it seem like it's sure fact. You better vote for Kamala. Or you don't love women. You put women down. You don't want to see women have equal rights. All this other stuff. And that's a whole nother video for a whole nother topic. But you get the point, brothers. I want to go to the CNN reaction. And I also want you guys to see how they reacted to what he said and what a lot of these people were talking about. All right, so for those of y'all brothers who don't know, this is a little CNN clip where they took small margins of that speech and they put in about Obama was coming at so-called black men, right? I'm gonna skip through because it's just Obama talking, same clip, right? But I want to go to the reaction and what people said. I want to go to the 2-minute mark. Let's go to about here.
Exit polls, Biden got 92% of the black vote. Right now, according to Quinnipiac, this is in Pennsylvania, according to Quinnipiac, Harris is at 78. It's a big gap in this state right now.
So as y'all brothers can see, this is an exit poll, and you can't fully trust these polls because a lot of times they're manipulative in order to either make a candidate seem like they're surefire to win or to make it seem like the candidate is underperforming so they can bring out more of the shame or bring out more of the participation in order to allow that party to, you know, get more favorable in the poll and eventually win the election. So I don't take these polls 100% at face value.
And that can be closed because Biden is not Barack Obama.
Biden is not, well, he was Obama's running mate. Certainly some spillover there. But you cannot ask of every black candidate in the post-Obama era, you've got to come up with 92% of the black vote every time. That is just not a reasonable assumption. If the margins are as tight as they're likely to be in this race, that's going to cause you problems in Pittsburgh and in Philadelphia and in Detroit and in Milwaukee and in Atlanta and in all of the swing states. And so they're going to have to come up with a strategy. Now, Barack Obama is trying one strategy, trying to sort of connect with some of the black male voters who they think have been drifting away and are likely to drift away in these last 26 days. I'm not sure that's the right message.
I mean,
but they had to try something.
It's a lot of pressure. I mean, this is not a nice message. This is a very stern message.
Let me ask.
Yeah, it's a stern message, but if you're a strong man, you're not gonna fall for it. If you're a weak man, if you're a cowardly man, and again, if you want to be shamed by the women in your family for not voting, then yeah, it'll work on you. But for brothers like us who have the spirit of the Most High within us, we're not gonna get shamed by these women. That's why you'll also notice this. If you find the women in your family trying to shame you to vote, trying to program you to vote, no disrespect to any brother on this channel, but if you notice your family trying to do that, that is a sign that they may not respect you like that. Because this used to happen to me all the time. Like, well, not all the time, but my family, from time to time, they might say, oh, are you voting? And if you don't want to vote, blah, 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 blah. They know for sure, don't even ask me about voting. I'm a grown man. I make my own decisions. And if I want to vote, then I'll vote. But don't try to come and tell me. So you brothers have to understand, a lot of times your family might try to manipulate you into voting if they feel like you're swayed. But once they understand you're fully firm on what you believe and what you follow, they're not going to try a lot of these lower level manipulation tactics to get you to vote for who they want you to vote for.
Ask you a question, Abby and Nina. Let me say, I find it very interesting that we're trying to reach.
You know, oh brothers, look who we have on the screen here. Hey, will you brothers listen to how this woman talks, bruh? Hey, imagine if you were her husband, bro, how she would treat you if you said, I ain't voting for Harris, bro. You ain't getting no Putinani. She not cooking no food, and she's gonna be a total demon because you didn't vote for her political party. Watch how she talks, bro. Listen.
A nice message. This is a very stern message.
Let me ask you a question, Abby and Nina. Let me say, I find it very interesting that we're trying to reach out to white men. We're trying to reach out to black men. The people whose rights are really on the ballot right now are women. And we're begging all these men to pay attention to us. And
so look, another thing that a lot of times these elections do, they come up with strategic media events that can favor the politician that they want to win. Remember in 2020, it was Black Lives Matters, police brutality. Joe Biden was on the ballot. So it wasn't no big deal about abortion because it's two men, it's two Caucasian men. So why would they really care about pushing abortion as a legal battle? All of a sudden, from 2020 to 2024, you had the, I think it's the Supreme Court justices, where they repealed the ability to have an abortion on a federal level. So it became a statewide issue where certain states would determine whether you'd be able to have abortions or not. Y'all brothers remember that. Why is that? All of a sudden, Kamala Harris is running for president. And now you got these staunch liberal women saying, oh, this isn't an election about your rights. This is an election about women's rights. So you're telling me that an election is all based about abortion? I thought an election was also based on monetary policy. I thought an election was also based off of foreign policy, immigration policy. These are shaming tactics. It's just so funny, bro. It's so easy to see through Satan's lies, bro.
To care enough about this election, to vote, to come out, to support us. I feel like Brock going on the campaign trail right now makes perfect sense. Of course, right? He's a top surrogate for Democrats. He should be out there doing the work right now. I think it's so amazing to me that with women's rights on the line, we're spending so much time focusing on making sure men care.
Because men, I don't know, it's because men are the problem right now.
See, that was programming. Said because men are the problem. And boy, let me tell you, bro. A lot of these women who watch this video, they're gonna get emotionally riled up like, yeah, why don't men care? And men are misogynists, and see, men have been oppressing us for 300... Bro. Hey, for those of y'all brothers in a modern day relationship, according to society standards, I don't know how y'all do it, bro. But again, this is all to rile up your emotions. She said maybe because men are the problem. No, maybe it's because your presidential candidate is not a strong candidate. And look, this is CNN, so they have different people on here who are from the Trump campaign, and they try to make it seem like they're not biased, but they're very clearly Democrat-leaning. They're very clearly liberal-leaning. But that's what I wanted to do in this video, Akim. I thought it was just very funny. And it's just ironic that these people want to come here and try to shame men because we don't want to vote for Kamala and we quote-unquote don't support women's rights, as if women's rights is the only thing on the ballot. These people are deranged.
I mean, women. And by the way, Governor Walz, according to Politico, is going to be going out on a men tour, literally a tour of media to appeal to men.
And the reason why they're going on these tours to appeal to men, because women are easily manipulated. Women are easily controlled. Women are they're spoils of war, like Judah would say. Women, they focus on their feelings and emotions, not on what's logically happening. And that's why the serpent always comes and uses them as their lapdogs, because they're just easily manipulated. All you got to do is tell a woman what she wants to hear and she's going to fall for it. But when you tell her the truth, she hates everything that you say. That's why you can't really expect much when it comes to higher level, concrete, 3D aspect topics, because they already have them hook, line, and sinker, bro. Kamala's a woman. She's a so-called black woman, and she's fighting for abortion rights. I don't need Trump to tell me anything else. I'm voting for Kamala. That's why people get manipulated every 4 years, and then 10 years down the line, they wonder why their economy and why the country is going down the drain, because you didn't think long term about who you were actually voting for. And to be honest with y'all brothers, you're kind of wasting your vote if you live in California, or if you live in like Wyoming, or if you live in Oklahoma. These states are hard blue, hard red. The only votes that really matter are swing states, because it's not a popular vote. They don't care who got more votes popularly. They care about the electoral college. So it's really just based off of states like Pennsylvania, states like Ohio, states like Wisconsin, states like I think Georgia, states like that where they're swing states. Those are really the main places where your vote. Nevada, that's really where those places where your vote matters. If you're in a hard red, hard blue state, if you vote for Kamala in Texas, Trump is still going to win Texas. So what's the point of going to vote anyway? Most people don't understand that. It's really your local elections, whether it be your governor, whether it be your Senate, a representative, House of Representatives, things like that actually make some sort of difference. And even then, brothers, we really shouldn't be worried about this damn voting, because nothing's going to really change in the long term.
They need to appeal to the needs of the voters. And so when I was a delegate for President Obama in both of his elections in Ohio, right now the vice president is down 11 points in Ohio, even though I fully expect President Trump to take Ohio as he did twice, but to be down 11 points compared to President Biden, that is a problem. But this other issue I want to bring up is a problem too. Why are black men being lectured to? Why?
The reason why black men are being lectured to is because they don't see you on the totem pole. Again, this is a harsh reality for a lot of brothers to understand, but once you understand this, you'll be more at peace and you won't worry about this system and why people don't accept you. You're below Caucasian men, you're below the Asian man. Think about this. They don't even mention the Asian man. They don't even peep the Asian man, the so-called Arabic man. But they're talking about you, brothers, because you're the lapdogs. You're at the bottom. And they try to continually shame and ridicule you because they see you as, again, like Judah says, a human toilet seat. But you have to understand your true role. The Lord sees you as the highest. You are essentially the Most High spokesperson when you understand who he spoke through when it came to the Bible. The Most High always spoke through his men. And that's how you're cherished. But due to us being in this condition in captivity, everything's flipped. The first are last and the last are first. So the reason why so-called black men are being ridiculed is because they see you as the eye of their frustration. Why ain't these niggas going out and voting? Who the hell do they think they are? Grown-ass men who make their own decisions.
Are black men being belittled in ways that no other voting group? Now, a lot of love for former President Obama, but for him to single out black men is wrong. And some of the black men that I have talked to have their reasons why they want to vote a different way. And even if some of us may not like that, we have to respect it.
Hey, y'all brothers see that? Hey, y'all see that woman? Y'all see that Caucasian woman? She looked like, who the hell you think you are talking against Kamala, bro? Hey, if she have a husband, I feel sorry for that brother. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Hey, y'all brothers better be careful who you dealing with, man. They put on faces and then they show you who they really are when you put the ring on their finger. But anyways, brothers, I want to keep watching this video. If y'all brothers watch the whole thing, y'all see the title, Obama, Black Men Supporting Trump. It's on CNN. But again, brothers, let this be a lesson. And also be aware of Satan's devices, man. They come back every 4 years, every 2 years, doing the exact same thing, as y'all can see. I'm going to post little clips throughout the video so y'all can understand the same tactics that they've been employing. And always think for yourself, have a mind for yourself, and don't fall for societal pressure to vote for this person or vote for that person. Have your own mind and do what you feel is best. So with that being said, I give all praise to the Most High Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. Until next time, Mr. Brother Ash Abba signing out.
BLK app looking for some action. Why the homie stop what's happening? Face is a 9, abs a 10, D is a to be determined. He got mad jokes, he don't seem broke. The only red flag, he said he don't vote. This midterms for all the single cuties. Wanna hit this booty, gotta do your civic duty. No voting, no loving. No voting, no touching. No voting, no nothing. No voting, no fucking, no voting.